Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1 was a pretty cookie-cutter shonen for me, mimicking the other actors on the stage. It only had a few breakout moments that really distinguished it amongst the other shonen stories. It was grittier, occasionally killed off characters, and had its own unique spin on some of the aspects introduced. But Itadori was very similar to the other characters within the catalog, having a very shonen origin story, abilities, ambition, and even the over-the-top personality comparable to other protagonists within the genre. This isn't even a critique of the show, rather I enjoyed Season 1 quite a bit, but there wasn't really anything that hooked me onto the story. Enter in Season 2. Season 2 of the show is freaking crazy! Fights are exhilarating, dialogue is sharp, character development is calculated, stakes are high, animation is staggering, mostly, and impact catastrophic. Anything good or great about Season 1 has been improved or even exemplified in this season, and it all starts with a flashback arc. While flashback arcs in these are usually fun, they often lack stakes, because we know the character in the flashback is obviously alive, unless it's a cliche where give a character a backstory before we kill them off, which they kinda do to Maki. But anyways, they're usually just a self-contained story adding another layer of depth to a character, and are typically tragic. Just take a look at One Piece for crying out loud. A bit of an easy gut punch, but this arc serves as so much more than that, and is my favorite arc of the series that has so far been animated. The Gojo Past Arc takes place years prior when Gojo is still a student. Here he is practically the same, but lacks that conviction as shown in the present. Although with his overpowered abilities, he's already ranked amongst the strongest. His classmate and best friend is Geto, a by-the-books logical person with a strong conviction and morals. He sees the world completely differently from Gojo, that the duty of sorcerers is to protect the weak and to do everything they can for society. He's calm, mostly polite, and communicates well with other people, almost like a poster boy of what a sorcerer should be. Their completely differing viewpoints cause them to clash quite often, usually with Geto scolding Gojo on his condescending personality or Gojo riling up Geto just to get a reaction. In this arc, they're assigned an important mission to act as the bodyguard for the new host for Tengen, a powerful sorcerer that keeps the balance of the sorcerer world. They watch after a young girl named Riko while a massive bounty is set on her head by an assassin working for religious fanatics to keep her from merging with Master Tengen, who they believe to be a godlike figure. The act of her merging with him will practically result with her existence disappearing from the world. It's a mission neither of the duo fully subscribe to, but either way, this girl needs protecting. It's a simple and straightforward arc carried by its excellent character interactions and writing. Many flashback arcs are quick, they get to the point, show the tragic backstory for the character's motivation, and move on. But here the show gives the audience time to take in everything that's going on. It doesn't feel like a flashback, but the most important thing going on in these characters' lives right now. And for once, it had me genuinely worrying during the arc how the characters themselves ended up where they were at the present. This arc begins pretty casual because we know Gojo and Geto are incredibly strong. They dominate every assassin that tries to touch Riko, but something has been looming this entire arc. Someone who's done nothing but plot, gamble, and eat. The group reached the barrier of the high school, which keeps out all unknown sorcerers. Gojo can finally release his all-seeing ability. It's all building up to that final moment, when Riko makes the choice, whether to go through with it or not. And he's here. The one that has plotted this whole time. But it's all good. Gojo survived and now he's fighting. Gojo, one of the strongest sorcerers, so I'm sure... Oh frick! How does he survive this? Geto's still in the way, maybe he can stop him. Oh, look at that! It's the moment the entire arc has been building to. Riko deciding she wants to live, and Geto supporting her in that decision. The pinnacle of character development for Riko, who's held this strong facade the whole time. Who really just is a normal teenage girl that wants to experience a normal life. The music raises, and time seems to stop all around them as Geto offers her his hand to take her home. The music ceases. The camera panning to Geto, displaying his realization of what just happened. There was no build-up for this. No great fight between Geto and Toji for her life. Just a single, sudden, and shocking gunshot, followed by a trail of blood. In the span of a couple minutes, this entire arc is deconstructed. Geto fights against Toji only to fail as well. Riko is dead. Gojo is missing. It's a strange thing to see in Shonen, seeing the heroes fail. To fail to protect the person they swore to, and to see someone the audience has bonded with to be so suddenly and ruthlessly killed off. How would other shonen have handled such a storyline? Imagine a storyline in My Hero Academia where Deku failed to save Eri or Kota. How would it have changed everything? Such a story demands a level of maturity and severity. It's uncomfortable and feels unfair. But this arc is far from over. On death's door, Gojo reaches enlightenment, finally able to pull off the reverse curse technique, allowing himself to heal. He hunts down Toji and carves a massive hole in him in a quick rematch. But what's the point? Riko is dead. The heroes have already lost. The endless clapping of radical believers fills the room. A crazed anger resides in Gojo's eyes as he holds Riko's lifeless body, and Geto arrives just in time to see it.
こいつら殺すか? 今の俺なら多分何も感じない。いい。意味がない。見たところ、ここには一般教徒しかいない。呪術界を知る主犯の人間はもう逃げた後だろう。A by-the-books response. Geto falls back on his convictions just like he always does, but now the shot lingers on him. His eyes quake as he avoids Gojo's gaze. Is there really no point? The shadows of the religious fanatics lengthen all around him as he sinks deeper and deeper into an abyss. Those once strong convictions begin to falter. With the relationship Gojo and Geto have built up, Gojo reluctantly accepts the answer, walking away alone into an obscured hallway. Gojo doesn't have an answer, or convictions to fall back on for the situation. So he walks ahead into an unknown place, needing to craft his own. Many series would end a flashback arc here. This suffices as the moment Geto's convictions shattered and Gojo changed and cultivated deep beliefs. But the arc continues. The series jumps ahead a year. Gojo has officially become the strongest, nearly untouchable. He alone takes on the most dangerous mission, standing in an unreachable realm compared to his fellow sorcerers, and will grow even more. He's pushing himself to never again allow that tragedy to happen. He's found his conviction. But he's still Gojo, easygoing and relaxed, albeit a bit more focused. But Geto has been left behind. He watched as Gojo reaches pinnacles he could never dream of, and more importantly watched as he moved on. Since Gojo takes on missions alone, now so does he. The missions never stop. He exercises, absorbs vomit-inducing curses, and repeats that horrible day playing back in his head like a film on repeat, never giving his mind a moment of peace. The clapping never stops. Why am I doing this? Who am I doing this for? What is the point? That question. It comes back. He said there would be no point in killing those people a year ago, but was there really no point? That speech he had given to Gojo about a sorcerer's job being to protect the weak feels foolish. He's falling apart, and he knows it. Torn between what his duty is as a sorcerer to protect people and the traumatizing reality he saw, and his feelings towards it. His meeting with Yuki, he's forced to confront this. These feelings that have plagued his mind for a year. It's these humans, these non-sorcerers that cause all this pain and death through their inability to control cursed energy. Exercising curses is the equivalent to placing a band-aid on a gaping, festering wound. This cycle won't end. Yuki provides two insightful solutions to this. Either remove all cursed energy from humans, which might be impossible, or teach all humans how to control cursed energy. It caused mass panic for everyone finding out about curses and sorcerers, and maybe even make the problem worse for the short term. But after a couple decades, it may be possible to rid the world of curses forever. But that's optimistic. Wouldn't the problem be solved if there were no more non-sorcerers? To his surprise, Yuki agrees. It's a plausible method, perhaps even the easiest. The widespread panic of non-sorcerers being killed would force adaptation in order to survive, wrapping up the process quickly and efficiently. But even she isn't crazy enough to try it. Crazy? Would that really be crazy? Haibara, his lower classman,
is killed on a mission. An easy mission meant to deal with a second-grade cursed spirit. A curse that evolved due to the belief that people had living there. This was their fault. Those humans that believed in a curse feeding it strength. Was this their fate? To die trying to protect these people that created the danger? The curses would never stop, as long as humanity lived without being sorcerers. Another mission. Exercise. Absorb. What? These people had locked up children, beaten them because they were sorcerers, claiming them to be responsible for their misfortune. Didn't they know this was their own doing? The candles in the back represent Geto's convictions. One looms over the other, his hatred for non-sorcerers, and the other collapsing but still lit, his duty to protect the people. His shadow rests on the wall, split representing his two sides that he wrestles with. A first time he tells them the children were not responsible. They ignore him, saying how their strange powers caused this chaos. A second time, he affirms he's already dealt with the issue. They disregard him again, cutting off the children who tried to defend themselves. The woman yells she should have killed the pair in their infancy, knowing they would have only caused problems as they grow. The melting candle goes out. The two shadows become one. Turning, he smiles and asks them to step outside. Blue flames ignite, cursed spirits emerge, cries bellow in the night, and Geto stands there in the center of it all, staring blankly into the fires. Unfazed, Geto has made his decision. Never again would he value the life of non-sorcerers above a sorcerer's. He's seen the ugliness of the weak, the selfishness and the fear. They caused the curses, the death of his comrades and the innocent. He will save all the sorcerers, even at the cost of all non-sorcerers. Those lower life forms. Rarely in media do we see such an intimate downfall of a character. This isn't some deception where a greater villain has gotten to his own head, his current iteration doesn't count, or some pulling of the strings behind the scene that turned him into a villain. These were his emotions and thoughts on the subject. Over a year he molded over, wrestling with the matter, and he came to his own twisted conclusion. This isn't a tragic villain story, but an existential one. Throughout it all, he faced it as a human would, a slow, compromised changing of one's convictions. Gojo refuses to believe this change. Geto is his best friend, a person of strong morals, convictions, and logic. He stopped Gojo from committing a similar slaughter years ago, but when faced with him, he sees Geto has changed. What Geto saw as once mindless slaughter now has a greater purpose, and he uses Gojo's existence as proof that it's possible to gain enough strength to wipe out the non-sorcerer population. He's the same person, but different. Everything Geto does is now purpose-driven. Even in his own downfall, he sees purpose. Gojo is unable to stop him because how could he? So he lets him go. This arc for me acted as the pivot point in the series. What was once a classic by-the-book shonen suddenly differentiated itself. There was no power of friendship, no everyone makes it back alive and alright, no happy ending or returning to the status quo. Heroes became villains. Characters we loved changed, becoming layered, and others died, and the plot became unpredictable. These stakes weren't for the world, but the personal, making this extraordinary fiction grounded. And that's how Jujutsu Kaisen shattered the shonen mold. Thanks a ton for watching my video to the end. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of spring. Yes, I'm aware, it's only winter, just taking it slow and steady. Comment your thoughts down below, I read them all. And give me a follow on Instagram since TikTok may be gone in T-2 days, at least in the US. Thanks again, and I'll catch you later.